that demand for the tough questions to be asked. Our personality profiling Fridays, when we get to know the stories behind the winning personalities we love. Inspirational stories from inspirational personalities. Hey, listen, you really cannot miss The Couch with me, Amma Price. Still, the only TV show with a hat.
Into the land of freedom, he's the redeemer and the champion of liberty, of human equality. Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana showboy, Africa's great song, Sergeant Dr. Nkrumah.
And you're live from the studios of Pan-African Television. We're broadcasting live from Abilinkpe here in Accra. We are also live on Volta 1 TV in Ho. We are live on Ahunto 92.3 FM in Accra. And of course, our several radio partners across the country. We are very strong in the northern region where we have Diamond FM, Matambo Radio, and Gbawa Radio in Yendi, all tuning to us this morning. We are also quite popular in the Volta region, currently in Ho. We have Global FM tuning to us. We also have Shine FM in Akachi also tuned in. So you can listen to any of those platforms. A big thank you for choosing this particular program, the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. My name is Sena Nombo. It's always my pleasure to welcome you to this show every Saturday. Here we say it as it is, no matter who is involved. In the end, we'll leave you better educated. And of course, this morning, we'll be discussing the big issues that made the news this week. But importantly, don't forget that your views are very relevant to this show. To share them, if you're watching through Facebook, our handle is Pan-African Television. Pan-African Television spelled out in full. You can also watch us through YouTube, Pan-African Television, same channel. But if you like listening to live radio through the internet, look for Ahunto 92.3 FM if you have any of the radio streaming apps, or you can do Radio Gold 90.5 and you can get to listen to us. Thank you for choosing this dial. This morning, we are spending some time talking about the issue of a compilation of a new voters register because the process has ended. The EC has been given its verdict. There has been responses from the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress. The NPP says, well, at the end of the day, if you look at the numbers in some of the constituencies, they were right when they said that the numbers in some of those places were bloated. The NDC says, well, it was a complete waste of money. It would have been spent to develop some schools. They mentioned over 5,000 schools that could have been built from the money that was spent in building the in compiling the voters register. And we've also been hearing from Imani Africa because they were very vociferous in their disagreement with the EC when the EC decided to go and compile the register. They are saying already, they say if a new government comes to power, if they are able to, they can push the new government to push the EC into compiling a new register because this register is fraudulent. That is the description they are giving to it. So we'll be talking about those issues. And then we'll also be talking about Dr. Baomia's question on the youth. Don't forget the running mate of the NDC, immediately she was introduced, Professor Nana Jinopoko-Ajiman, has focused so much on the youth. She believes that we need to build a Ghana that works for the youth. Well, Dr. Baumia is asking a simple question. Why should we trust you? What is your record for the youth? What have you done for the youth that we should trust that you do what you are promising? So we'll be talking about that particular issue this morning. And then we'll take you international because Kamala Harris is the running mate to Joe Biden, who is the flag bearer, presidential candidate of the Democratic Party in the U.S. How significant is that? Don't forget the United States of America is yet to even have a female vice president. There has been an attempt by Hillary Clinton for the presidency. It didn't work out. So will she be also, like it may happen in Ghana, the first female vice president of the United States of America? So those are issues that will be occupying our attention. We'll take a short break. When we come back, I will introduce my panel and then we'll start the discussion with the issue of the new voters register. Stick and stay with us, Pan African Television.
Morning is an important time of the day because how you spend your morning can often tell you what kind of day you're going to have. I want you to have a great day. So start your day with me because I can guarantee a great show every weekday on Good Morning Africa right here on Pan African Television. I will be serving some inspiration, news, business, health, newspaper review, music, and so much more. Join me, Kwame Owusu-Danso on Good Morning Africa on Pan African Television. Let's have a truly African morning. Medasi.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom.
Welcome back from that break. And if you just join us, the matter of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. Once again, very importantly, share your thoughts and your views with us. If you're watching us through Facebook, just use the comment section and do that. Once again, my name is Sena Nombo. Let me introduce my panel this morning. Mr. Kwesi Prajina is managing editor of the Inside newspaper, a regular on this program. He is joined this morning by Ambassador Sam Piale, who is a former Ghana High Commissioner to India and also president of the NDC Professionals Forum. We're also joined by Gabriela Tete, who is a member of the NDC's communication team. And then we have the pleasure of Kamaldeen, after a long absence, who is a Deputy National Communications Director of the New Patriotic Party. Thank you for joining us. We'll start the discussion, like I indicated, with the issue of the compilation of a new voters register, the controversies, and also the issue of credibility that's being raised at this point. It's only provisional, but the issue of credibility has already arisen. So I'll start with Gabriela this morning on the issue of a new voters register. Good morning, Gabriela.
Good morning, Senna. Good morning to my fellow panelists. I want to say good morning to our viewers online, on radio, and on TV. And a special good morning to the people of Awutu Senya West constituency. I want to thank them for coming out to register massively in the just ended registration exercise, and to remind them that come December 7th, they should remember to vote for Gisela Tete as their incoming member of parliament. Senna, the issue of the new voters register, finally, it's been done with. Now we're moving to the next phase of deduplication, adjudication, and exhibition before the actual registration. And already there are a lot of discussions and comments about why we wasted taxpayers' money on this exercise. You know, prior to the registration exercise, the NDC and the members of other political parties, the civil society organizations, all held the belief that having an entirely new register was going to be a waste of money. After going through the registration process, I think that they've all been vindicated. Because when you look at the old register, we had just about 16.5 million people registered on the old register. The argument was that we should rather consider a limited registration exercise. The EC and the main incumbent government refused to see eye to eye with that argument. After the registration exercise, we currently have 16.9, a little over 16.9 million people. Comparatively, the numbers have not really increased that much to justify why we spent over 1 billion Ghana cedis on the new register. After the registration exercise, in the People Must Know platform organized by the EC, the issue of whether we've managed to clean the register of foreigners and minors was raised. We know from the data that the EC has shared that about 37,000 people are having their registrations contested. Of these 37,000, many of the claims border on foreign registrations and minors. Now, we have a situation where, going into the registration exercise, the Supreme Court proclaimed that going into the registration exercise, we should use the Ghana card, the passport, and the issue of the birth certificate, which the NDC and some other civil society organizations again had come in to propose, was sidelined. Now we are going to claim to have an education process with people coming to defend that they are 18 years old and they should stay on the register. What are they going to use as proof to validate that they are actually 18 years old and above? Because now it's going to be my word against whoever is sitting there as a panel. If I have my family members with me and they are telling you that I am 18 years old, but my face looks like I'm 15, 16 years old, how do you justify that what I'm saying is not true? Now we also have the issue of foreigners. At a time when our borders are closed, with heavy security manning the entire periphery of Ghana, a register has now gone from an ECOWAS register to now a UN register. How did the other foreigners get on the register in the first place? And this issue of when you have minors and foreigners coming in, it always beats my imagination, because the people doing the registration are staff and personnel of the EC, whether they are contract employers or whatever they are. It is the EC personnel who are doing the registration exercise. So if you are organizing an exercise and your intention is to have a credible register devoid of foreigners and minors, what were your own staff doing at these centers when they were registering foreigners and minors? You know, it's interesting. In Banda constituency, for example, we raised issues about the 66 Ivorians or 60 Ivorians.
61.
How they got their registration cards is even another very interesting episode of how foreigners get on the register. Here we have these people who have been brought into a registration center. The NDC's agents and executives tell the EC officials that these people are not Ghanaian. The EC officials tell NDC agents, if you don't agree, fill the challenge forms that they are not Ghanaians. So you fill the challenge forms. And then the EC officials allow these people to register and get their registration cards. If you fill the challenge form, is it not for the EC officials to withhold your cards? So after an adjudication process, whether they give you back your card or don't give you back your card. But you go ahead to register them. And then you prepare, what's it called? You tell this one to fill the challenge form. Whilst these 60 people have walked away with registration cards. How does you see how that defeats even your own processes? It then behoves on the NDC executives to say, okay, in that case, we are going to have the security services arrest all of you and your ID cards before it became a major issue to even become newsworthy for all of us to hear what happened in Banda. If these foreigners were NDC's doing, would the NDC challenge and cause the arrest of these people? No. Who was it on the grounds in Banda who was pushing for these people to be registered? Fellow Ghanaians. He'll answer you when he gets to his turn. Then on the issue of security, we also observed in the media, both social and in the traditional news, and also people's commentary about intimidation of security personnel. We saw videos of security officers from the Ghana Armed Forces at registration centers, which was worrying for both election observers and the political parties, and also the citizenry. We complained about the presence of these people in these registration centers. Very little was done about it. Sometimes it took the courage of our party people to force some of these security officers out of these registration centers. In Ketu South, where we were told that the security officers had been brought in to maintain the COVID protocols and the restrictions of border closure. It's interesting to note that after the registration exercise, the information we are getting is that the security details are now being withdrawn, one after the other. The borders are still closed, aren't they? So why are they still not staying by the borders? Why are they returning back to base? And then we have the issue of the numbers. In the registration exercise, if you observed, the strongholds of the NPP, interestingly, Ashanti Eastern, have dropped in numbers. Less people registered compared to the 2016 register for Ashanti and Eastern. If you look at the constituency breakdown, there are some constituencies where you have voter registration decrease of about 27%, some 43%, some even 50%. I find it very interesting that an incumbent government, in their own strongholds, will have less people coming out to register, especially looking at how much their PR machinery is out there shouting on the rooftops about what tremendous work they've done for Ghana and why they should be voted again. If your strongholds are recording less voter registration numbers, then I wonder what the final outcome will be for you. And then finally, on the issue of the protocols, you know, at the beginning of the registration exercise, we were all concerned about the challenges that the breakdown of the protocols was going to cause. The NPP communicators, every opportunity they get, and I'm sure Kama will come and do the same thing here. That's why I want to address this issue before he comes in. Will tell us, and then these people were shouting, and if we do the registration exercise, people will die, as if we have a death wish for the people of Ghana. In the beginning of the registration exercise, we saw how the protocols of social distancing was flouted. We saw how our COVID cases increased. They like to tell us to look at the daily case count and the active cases. But when you actually do the computation of the current case count of total case count of 41,000 compared to about 15,000 when the registration exercise started, we've had almost about 25,000 new cases within this short period alone. I'm not saying that the registration exercise alone is accounting for this astronomical increase. The point I'm making is that amongst other things, because mind you, we've also had further easing of the restrictions in the how many people are allowed to group at a particular time. Churches can now have more meetings. Other social gathering numbers have increased. So amongst other reasons, but the one that stands out the most, and what data from the next few months will show us, will be that for the month of July and August, we actually recorded more cases, even though currently our active case numbers has improved by reduction. Now, going into election 2020, we finally have a final register. The process of deduplication, being a biometric system, we know that the system has the capability of cross-checking which data appears more than once. During the registration exercise, there was a serious phenomenon of biasing. The deduplication exercise is going to come up and expose all these phenomena and a negative effect on the register. Considering that the NDC has had issues to doubt some of the actions of the EC, and we've made justifiable claims as to why we've taken that position. We are putting a request that on the issue of the deduplication exercise and adjudication, we should have an independent audit coming in to look at that particular process, and also to verify the actual numbers on the on the final voters register. In Madame Jimenez's presentation to the people must know programs, there were days where even the data that she herself presented was conflicting. Sometimes she'll come on air and she'll mention that after the end of, for example, in July 10th, after the phase 1, she mentioned that the total number registered was 2,264,207. On July 28th, in another presentation, when she was giving the data for the first phase, she comes back to mention 2,202,405. In another presentation on the 7th of August, she gives the final figure for phase 1 as 2,203,445. In all three meetings, she mentions different data figures for a phase 1 program. There are other phases that she also gives conflicting data. This is not data that we are putting into her mouth that she should say. This is what her own people presented to her to come and read to us. So we would wish that because the EC is unable to give us accurate data, if today, Saturday, you are telling me there are 5 of us in this room, if someone asks us on Tuesday how many were in the room, we should still be able to say that there are 5 of us in this room. The next day, you should tell us that there are 5 of us in this room. That figure should not change, because data is data, and there's something, that is why we have credibility of data. The purpose for us going into this registration was to have a credible register. So the data on the register ought to be credible. Now, there's this other issue where let me conclude. So in conclusion, because I'll keep taking all kinds of negative things on this register. So in conclusion, the voters registration exercise is now over, and we are very excited about the outcome. The numbers that came out to register, despite the challenges and the fear of a pandemic. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the good people of Ghana who risked their own safety and health to come out to make the registration exercise the success that it was, even though it's still plagued with some challenges. Moving forward and going into the election 2020, I would wish that from this process onwards, the EC will now show more comradeship with the political parties. You know, the way we're going into this registration process, there was this whole, I don't know how to describe it, but there was a lot of back and forth of mistrust and this and that. But now the process is over. We're now going into a proper election where the true character of the EC as fair, honest, and being an institution of integrity ought to stand out. So going into the process, I would wish, and I'm sure many Ghanaians would also wish the same, that all of us are treated equally on a fair playing field, and the people of Ghana are made to choose whether to accept an incumbent government or to reject an incumbent government. Thank you.
Thank you for setting the tone for us on the discussion of the voters register. So that's our very first discussion on Alhaji and Alhaji today. If you just join us, thank you for making time. Just a couple of your messages before I move on to I come to Kamal, who is closest to me. Dennis Akwete says, Sena, even as the revelation of the EC relative to its admission of minors and foreigners on the register is strange and inconsistent with the very reason why the EC embarked on the said needless exercise in the first place. I am glad, as the said revelation is indirectly telling our apex court how controlled it appeared to be, and it should be to be ashamed upon hearing this when he ruled our birth certificate, which is the only legitimate document for proving one's age as a source document for citizenship. It was obvious the said voters registration exercise was all about chop shop. He said, Shalom. His Royal Highness Don Don says, as for the EC, the least said about her, the better. You spent over $150 million to delete names of dead people and get foreigners and minors onto the new voters register. Later, they decided to, okay, that's a serious one. Says, please, let's come together and kick these people out before they collapse our dear nation. NDC must lace their boot because it is going to be worse on 7th December. Sangzi Frankinero says, the big question is, how will the EC remove the minors from the register? I hope the Supreme Court have seen, okay, this is the confusion caused when you put a political party ahead of Ghana. Jean Mensah he said is an obvious candidate for jail. Goy Lulunya says, he said Nanando and Jean Mensah must be charged with willfully causing financial loss to the state. Raymond Abiu is also joining us. Says, I just would like to add my voice to the discussion. What's going on in Ivory Coast should concern every well-meaning Ghanaian. Looking at the poster of Akufo-Addo, an Electoral Commission should inform Ghanaians of what awaits Ghana come December. Everything the EC has done so far goes to cement my suspicion that the Electoral Commission will go to any length to retain Akufo-Addo in power. However, I would like to warn any such mistake to undo the will of it, the good people of Ghana will cause the country to explode. All those whose voices matter in Ghana must, as a matter of agency, advise the EC chairperson and her deputies to do the right thing come election day to avert Ghana from descending into chaos. Raymond Abiu sent that one. Frederick Adam says, I hope this time Sarkodie won't compose another beef song to this President Akufo-Addo for being okay. And says he composed Kanta in 2016 to this John Mahama in the first chapter of his rap. But now, okay. Kojo Ngwesa says, it was Pargrand, the first Nzima MP in the Western Providence in the Gold Coast. He invited Lawyer Blay, and Lawyer Blay's friend is JB Dankwa. He invited Akufo-Addo. It's not JB who started the independence of Ghana. He's going back to the discussion we had last week. Gafao Janton Dabushi Jang. Okay, I hope I got that name right. says good morning, and said the EC has no mandate to tell us that minors and foreigners are in our new register. MPP and Nanado never again come 7th. Edward Bishop Duga is also joining us. Says the controversial voters register. We know it will definitely come to this. The MPP is obviously empowered to decimate the hard-earned taxes on this needless voter register. The NDC has said it here. I said it, and here we are. More PAC exercise again. Oh my God. So those are some of the messages you're sending to our Facebook. The Facebook page is Pan-African Television. Pan-African Television. Alhaji.
Let me say a very good morning to you, Sena, and of course to Kwesi Pratt and Ambassador Sampi Ali and my sister Gabriela, as well as those watching on Pan-African TV this morning. I say a very good morning to you. Well, Sena, we are in an election year, and all manner of conversations will be thrown in the air, both positive and negative. Prior to an election day, there are a lot of processes that one ought to follow to get there. Some institutions who are tasked to work to ensure that our democracy strives would have to go to work and would have to be on work until the election day. It means election is a process and not an event. That's the point I'm trying to make. If the government is supposed to carry out a task in ensuring that budgetary allocations are made to such institutions, they would have to also embark on same, which is a process. Parliament has a role to play in some of this. They would have to also embark on same. You and I, as citizens of this country, would have a lot of work to do to ensuring that indeed our democracy is what it is in terms of positivity. So by and large, every single person in this country has a role to play in ensuring that our fourth Republican Constitution stays strong and stays put, and we would have to defend it no matter what happens. So anything that would happen in this country must be in conformity with the laws of this country. Compilation of a new register. Question is it in conformity with the law? Without any equivocation, I answer in the affirmative, yes. Both the enshrined laws in our constitution and also what the apex court of the land has said regarding the compilation of the register gives it a sound grounding that indeed it is legally accepted. Someone can sit somewhere and say whatever you want to say within your own whims and caprices, within your wish, throw things out. Ghana is going to burn if we have a new register. People will die if we have a new register. We will sit down for Ghana to have a new register. Mark my words, it will not happen. My brother, don't go and get your kinky and fish, finish eating and come and be shouting on top of the rooftops on TV. The law is the law. This message must go to the NDC. You see, governance is a continuum. That is why founders of this country, people who have loved this country, people who have fought dearly for this country, propose that we should have laws governing us and guiding us to move on as a people, which we do have, which we are all respected. The laws have made myself and my uncles and of course my sister to sit here freely and express ourselves on TV without any fear or favor. Why should someone sit somewhere when indeed legally posited it tells you this can be done, that exercise is going to be done, it's a process going on, then you spell doom. You try to sit down and say, look, Ghana is going to burn, Ghana will be nowhere. I think it's sad. The needless demonstrations out there, the needless hula baloo, cacophonies out there. Prior to this registration, where is it now? All you sit down to tell me now is the register is finished, we are done, and we should try and see, we should look into it and see if we are going to vote for Nanado or vote for who. Didn't you know this? You see, I will admonish all of us to be civil in our critique and be very decorous when it comes to certain words that we use. The youth of this country, the future is in our hands. A young man like me in politics will make mistakes. A young man like you watching me may make mistakes. But let us not allow people to let us spew out things that the next moment we eat him humble pie and come and sit down and say the register was successful, and even in their stronghold, people did not even register. Listen to my sister. Even in their stronghold, people did not even register enough. This and this, trying to claim that indeed it looks good for them today. I'm not surprised that today, even the flag bearer of the NDC, former President John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, had cause to say in Ketekrachi that the registration exercise that just ended met their expectation. I listened to him. Then I asked myself, hey, really? I cringed. These are the people who unleash people out to go and say that this is not even needed. We will fight with all our blood. We will do whatever. To the extent that Brother Jefima, a very good friend of mine, sat on Asempa TV and said, look, if there is any new register in this country, never call me on your program again, I won't come. We will stop it. What are you going to use to stop it? So let's learn as the youth of this country. Me being MPP does not make me an enemy to NDC person. You being NDC does not make you an enemy to MPP person. We should learn from our leaders and our elders who have moved and be friends. And then we have war of ideas on the table. Let us table ideas. Mention what you have. I mention what I have. We juxtapose same and look at what the law says, and then we move on, and our democracy will thrive. We are about 28 years in this constitution. Great, unprecedented, great in Africa. We are moving. So should we allow certain disagreements to be inciting people, instigating people to go and shed blood? For me, I will commend Jane Mensah and her team for a good job done. We in MPP have remained consistent on this matter of the register. Prior to 2016 election, we had cause to say that, look, the register that we have, compiled in 2012, was problematic. And we enumerated the problems therein. To the extent that a panel was set up by the EC then, led by Charlotte Osei. Okay? When Charlotte Osei set up the panel, which panel had to VCRAC Crab as the chairperson. We met at Alisa. We all presented our problems regarding the register, including the NDC. And the General Secretary of the NDC then, and still the General Secretary, also had cause to make a presentation. We established a commonality in presenting the problems. The commonality had to do with bloated register, minus on the register. However, we disagreed on whether or not a new register be compiled, or we should try to purge this register of the problems that we had. So it's not as if we didn't all agree there was a problem. We all agreed. It was the solution or the remedy to the problem that we did not agree. Then it took Abu Ramadan and Co to go to the Supreme Court, seeking to have it. Then the Supreme Court came out to say, look, given the time, given the situations now, yes, we agree. The problems you have all presented, you all agree on it. Those holders of NHIS could not establish citizenship. Therefore, foreigners cannot be people who will vote. So, Electoral Commission, clean that register for us. Purge it off the minors if you can. If the ghost names are on it, if you can, do it. The reports are there for us to look. So, it's not like there wasn't a problem. And our position has been, and is always, until now, that we needed a new register to cure the entire problem. The NPP lovers of democracy and pacesetters of true democracy in this country, pacesetters of true democracy in this country, I repeat, in this country, said, let us have a credible, entirely new register. The NDC went haywire. No, we will not agree. We will not even accept it. We don't need it. My brother, as we sit today, they went to court challenged the compilation of the register per Article 45 of the Constitution, that it didn't say so, blah, 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 blah. The Supreme Court said, look, put it to rest. They have the right to do what they want to do. That is gone. Now the EC gives a date. Then the compilation of the register started. But see, what is intriguing and interesting to note also is that many should know that anything good coming into this country, the NDC will oppose to it. Watch it. Watch the history in the Reform of our Constitution. When NHIS was coming to help us, Sena, the NDC walked out of Parliament to say the Ghanaians don't deserve NHIS. Health insurance. Put that aside. Ghana card that will establish citizens in this country. Give us a data. My sister talked about data and was telling you discrepancies in the data from the EC. So how important data is. We want to have a data of citizens of this country and non-citizens of this country. The NDC will oppose to it. It took the likes of Alotejokos to tell them, hey, NDC, go and do your cards. That is what they will use for registration. Another thing, good as it appears, NDC disliked it. Only for last minute, you see the flag bearer of the NDC, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and his wife going for Ghana card. And they all rush for Ghana card. The registration and compilation of the register today has seen over 60% of the people on our roll using Ghana card to get it. Is it positive or is bad? The NDC will oppose to it. Lastly, registration of the register itself. Electoral rule itself, they were against it. That is why I started by saying that they said if there will be Ghana will burn and whatever. Today Ghana hasn't burned. I drove peacefully here. Gabriela drove peacefully here. Ambassador drove peacefully here. My uncle Kusipa drove peacefully here. Nowhere is burning. When we are done, we'll go to Antimuni and get our watch peacefully and enjoy and go home. That is Ghana for you. So anybody who is a naysayer, a doubting Thomas, a doom speller in this country, let us get rid of that person. Let us put that person aside. Now to the figures of the register. I thought that it was a great job done by the EC. My sister says in Ashanti region somewhere, people did not come out to register. The last time I checked, Ashanti region is the second region after Greater Accra with the highest number of registrants to vote, with some 3,013,000 or so. Greater Accra has some 3,500,000 and something or so thousand. Then of course, followed by, if you put the entire northern part together, okay, now we have separated, we have northeast and then we have Savannah and we have northern region. When you put it together, of course, they've also increased in their votes, as it were, in their registration, as it were. I think the numbers that we've had is a vindication of the fact that this bloated nature of the old register was true. Take Ketu South. The NDC projected 151,000 people to register in Ketu South. The number of people on that voter register then was 149,000 plus. Today, with the new register, we have 139,000 people on Ketu South register. Their projection was 151,000. The number then was 149,000. Number now is 139,000. Difference of close to 10,000 people. Where are those 10,000 people? You see, when you sit down and tell me that we should have an election that will not see foreigners infiltrating into our, if you like, electoral process or trying to get into it, and we have an exercise like this that has seen numbers, of course, reduced to normalcy, then of course I'll be happy with you. That's a vindication to us. If we had left the old one, the 49,000, the 10,000, who were they? They said, let's engage the security agencies to help man our borders and to help us so the foreigners will not come in. Influx of them on our register. Bearing in mind that there will be unscrupulous ones who will do that. Then the government became proactive to do it. And it's not like the first time we are engaging the military to do this. Not the only this government. We have had police and military patrols keeping us, civil duties, ensuring that our political environment is sanitized. We've had it. It's not like the first time. Now this has happened. Then someone says they were taken there to deny people in the Volta region from registering. So the Upper East region, they were taken there to deny people. Western region, they were there. Western of military were there. Bono region, military were there. Everywhere they were stationed. It's not like only Volta region that you send some people there. No. Then this argument of we took military, we fought them, we did whatever. No. I think it's neither here nor there. Let us try. We will have excesses. We will have at least some few, if you like, problems or challenges. I don't like to call them problems. Challenges. What can we do to nip those challenges in the bud? As a people. That is why I admonish the youth of this country. Let's be together. Seeing Kamal working with an NDC person or working with a PSC person doesn't make Kamal NDC or a PSC. I am careful what I say. He's careful what he says. What is supposed to be his, if you like, secrets, strategy, he will not tell me. I will not also tell him mine. But it doesn't take away our friendship. We move. So this talk of let's fight, let's try, let's do the do and die affair is not there. The figures have spoken. We've seen a great and a credible register now, as espoused by the flag bearer of the NDC, that it has met their expectation. They are happy with it. I think that any conversation with regarding this register and talking about incredible, how incredible it appears, should stop after your flag bearer has spoken. Opinion is that not what they say? But they disregarded that and came and did another press conference calling for independent body to come and look into the numbers of the EC register. Another, with a great respect, laughable idea. The same people who went to court with the Constitution, telling you that we are basing our argument on the provisions of the Constitution, then the Supreme Court says, no, you didn't get it right. The same people now are talking about some independent body coming somewhere. Which independent body is more than the EC? Per our Constitution. Which body is given the mandate to work with the register or to compile a register? I don't know which body, independent body they want. We'll sit down and we'll just come and say things with our recourse to the laws that we know. And these are, excuse me to say, even me, this young person, I should know this. That the EC is not subject to any control. The EC is not subjected to the control of Mr. Pratt. Neither are they subject to the control of Kamaldi or any government in this country. The Constitution says so. Then you will try to put in a press conference, call Sena and go to come and cover it. We want independent body to go and look into the numbers. Are we getting serious in this country? With the greatest respect to them. They're my friends, but it's sad. So where we have gotten to, I will end with what Gabriela just said. That look, we have had to go through the process of compiling a new register. We are done. And of course, it is what it is today. The cleaning of the register and ensuring that we have a credible one before the election, the EC at their forum mentioned it. And I was so elated, so happy that the EC had to say that, look, we have detected this based on the challenges that we have had. That some foreigners have found their way, even with all the stringent measures that we put in place. Unscrupulous ones have still done it. Minors have done that. Look, a problem once cited is easier to solve. And is there a remedy to solve to get this register clean of those? And I say yes. The challenge forms 30-something thousand. They're going to look at it. If the veracity of the claims are established, then of course we're going to get them out of the register and we have a clean register, and you and I will be happy after the 7, whoever emerges the winner of the polls.
Thank you.
That is what it is. I think once again I would advise NDC, this needless noise must stop.
Okay.
Let's move on as a process.
Thank you, Kamal. Let me, some more messages from the Facebook page. Olanyo in Akwete is saying, GM had all it is to use the presidential power to make life easier, but they failed. Presidency is not run like remedial class for failed students. And President Lincoln said, if you once forfeit the confidence and self-esteem of your people, you can never regain their trust. Mahama can't be trusted with this compatibility, with his compatibility with Professor Opoku Ajiman. That's from Walanyo in Akwetia. Shelter Aheto Makofi says the gentleman talking needs to do it, to go home and do his homework. Our country, Ghana, it is true. When the gods wants to kill, they will make mad. That is what is happening to our MPP brothers. That's what he has sent. Thank you, Shelter, for that message. Patrick, Awin Bill Abang Amado says, Masakama, who beat war drums more than the MPP? Have you forgotten what my phone attack has all die be die? Do you think we are dumb? That is from him. Let me see. Eric Ampofo says he will definitely applaud the EC boss. She is one of them. They should watch out because any deliberate attempt to tamper with the register. Albert Asahin says on one basis is the EC claiming that there were minors in the register, since the only documents that the birth certificate that can be used to ascertain one's age was rejected by the EC. Asempa Naye, okay. Yes. Some of you will kill me with your name. Says, of course, the register was not necessary, but went massively to register. That does not make it right. You wish we boycotted, but you are disappointed. And Kofi Ofosu says, and I tell the MPP guy that, okay. Glassen Amponi says, former President Mahama indicated that he was ready to relinquish power should he lose the election. We need same declaration from President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And let me read one from Habib, who says, good morning, Sena, and your wonderful panel. So, nowhere in the world that birth certificate is irrelevant except in Ghana. Isn't it shocking? More shocking that our APES can deny Ghanaians our place of birth. If birth certificate was irrelevant, how come our president knew his date of birth? Isn't it true his birth certificate? So now, do you know that by looking at your face without your birth certificate, I will say you are 16 years old? Jimensa should not attempt to delete people from the NDC strongholds, else there will be problem. Let resist oppressors rule and vote massively for G&J, he says. Ude says the students were asked to go back to school to enable them get registered and vote for the government as payback for making them pass their exams with a supplied Pasco. Nobody mentioned a bloated register with the minors until the president showed their disappointment with the government. And let me read. Kojo Chumbuafo has been contributing. It says, kindly remind Kamaldin that the apartheid used the law of a certain land in a certain time. Extermination of Jews and other ethnic minorities was law in Germany during the 1940s. Was it good law? Remember that any despot will always have the lackeys to do his bidding. The times will change. Mark my words. Am I hearing Kamaldin right? They spent 1.8 billion Ghana cedis to reduce the Ketu South voter register by 10,000 votes. Ask him what happened to Baumia's 70,000 Togolese. Should we assume that 60,000 of them slipped in regardless of the soldiers terrorizing them? How pathetic. And then Dr. David Percy says, so our EC says that the new voters register being procured at great cost and risk to Ghanaian lives is bloated with foreigners and minors. How truly rich and idiotic, he says. The new voters register that our parliament, the NIA, and our Supreme Court were all pressed into service to get was never about taking foreigners or minors off our register or any of the myriad contrived reasons that the planned INSI under direct orders of President Nana Akufo-Addo and the NPP gave to the overburdened and abused Ghanaian taxpayer. From the very beginning, starting with the orchestrated removal of Charlotte Osei and the subsequent packing of the EC with MP activists to this very moment, the new registration was and is about voter suppression in NDC opposition strongholds. That way, President Nana Akufo-Addo and the NPP intend to guarantee victory at the 2020 December general elections. Ambassador.
Sana, it is interesting watching young men like Kamal who have to know that the future belongs to them, justifying very unjustifiable situations in this country. As for us, we are old men, that we have never seen any registration exercise that was accompanied by such violence. We have never seen any such registration that was characterized by deliberate efforts to disintegrate the sovereignty of this country. We have never seen that. Kamal, why is it that even when we are talking about earbuds, the one you use to clean your ears, Muhammad's name must be mentioned? Why? We are talking about Yeezy. Muhammad has to come in. Have you forgotten that Muhammad ran 4 months continuous adverts about people going to register? Did you notice that? Why are you telling this registration to become an NDC, again an NDC and MPP fight? Doesn't that worry you? Don't you know that there are other political parties like the CPP and others who also have an interest in this election, and it's not an NDC MPP fight? In any case, come on, what is the role of the NDC as an opposition party? In Parliament, they are there, and they take part in approving the budget. And so when they approve the budget for the EC to do the controversial thing that she did, doesn't the MPP and NDC MPs have a responsibility of ensuring that the money was used justifiably and reasonably? Don't they? Now you say institutions. You are a student of administration, and you know that when we set an institution, the institution has a responsibility to act reasonably, to act ethically. Not so. And so when you have a member of an institution who is supposed to be ethical, independent, like you are saying, sitting on television, saying that the one political party is a threat to democracy, is that institution performing reasonably? When you have an institution where there is a lot of advice against what you are doing, and you go ahead and say, whatever it is, I will do it, is that reasonableness because the law allows that? Come on. If you are through this registration, look at the dent we have created on the National House of Chiefs. You see, the National House of Chiefs, they are responsible for every one of us. If your hometown doesn't have a chief, then you have a problem, because all of us have chiefs, no matter what they do, but they represent all of us. They invite you, and you say you will go. Doesn't anybody have a right to question you about that? What was the reason for pushing all of us into this risk? You say that you have a right to compile a new register, and revise them. I heard reasonable voices like my friend Kusi Pratt and the rest saying that no, we have a register. So the next step or next line of action is to revise it. And indeed, in the past, we have always revised it. Well, we took it to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, yes, fine. Go and compile a new register according to the CI, and then it's okay. So when the Supreme Court has said that, did you expect that the NDC should sit there and not register? But you see, there's difference between law and common sense and ethics. And you know that, Sena. The law permits me that under certain circumstances, I should kill. Okay? But ethically, I know that if there's an alternative way, I won't kill, because killing is not good. It's against God's instructions. That is the Constitution, as you know, you are laws to the non-Jew, says that when you are defending your property, you can kill. It's not all laws that are applicable in all situations. And I don't think that when the Supreme Court said the Electoral Commission should go and register, they were telling them that be so ineffective as to register minors again. I do not think that the Supreme Court directed the EC to go and register and to be too inefficient and incompetent in registering foreigners again. Because after all, that was your reason for causing for the change of the register. No, so the EC over the period gave 17 different reasons, 17 different reasons why they should be allowed to do the voters register. It started with John Mensah going to the president saying that, oh, when he went to the data center of the EC, he didn't see any machine. He saw wires and all those things. We saw it. And then he came to what? The machines have come to the end of their life and they cannot be supported. We learned all this, but at every time we cross-check and their claim is not true. Because when they said the machines were end of life, Imani pointed out to them that, look, if you look at your own investment plan, every year in the budget or periodically in the budget, you have taken money to replace some of your machines. And therefore, there was no justification for changing the whole machines and bringing the new ones. Come on, I know you're a very truthful person. These elections that we, registration that we conducted, were they with the new machines? If they were with the new machines, then what we had was far better than what we had. Because you remember, there's a report that when you go to a center to register, immediately you mention your name, somebody will say that you have already registered, or there's another name there. And when you go and the machine is, you are the first person, you are supposed, the machine is supposed to read 1, isn't it? So the machine is reading 5. The next person is about 30. So if these were the new machines, that is also generating, allowing, permitting, admitting minors. Then did you go or did you come? Come on. I was thinking that after the much touted technical incompetence of Charlotte Osei, Jane Mensah was going to give us a very good, the best of registers. But the numbers that they are coming. Even before the exercise was completed, Ashanti region had dictated multiple registration, a double more than the numbers. The UC had to admit that it was an error. Now, the question is, every time we are talking about foreigners, and this is what annoys me, Sena, this annoys me so much. Anytime anybody is talking about foreigners, they cite the voter region. Very, very insulting and annoying. The voter region, part of the voter region, joined the Ghana project long before other people joined. Do you know the history of how Ghana became Ghana? They joined before many other regions joined. And they did so voluntarily to the plebiscite. Others were brought into Ghana by war, a conquest. So why is it that anytime we are talking about the country Ghana, we cite Togo, the voter region, as for being Togolese? Look at the distance. Do you know the partition of Africa? They just took a pen and drew in between. And sometimes, if you go to part of voter region, part of Western region, you will see that the person whose wife is in Ghana, he is there and they all go to sleep in Togo. That's our situation. You understand what I'm saying? Now, so why is it that we will not even say some people are British citizens? You know your vice president is a British citizen. Don't you know? You know Gabriel Chidaku is a British citizen. They can register. But a person from voter region cannot register. Because of what? Because of what? If Gabriel Chidaku can be, if the vice president can be dual citizen, how can't a person from Togo also be a dual citizen? So now, you remember that before the registration, something spectacular happened. One night, just like it happened at Abobloshi, a village in Togo got burnt. And this village is predominantly Adans, Krobos, and Evers. You know that village? 2 days after, there was a convoy of national mobilization. What is it? National mobilization?
No, national disaster management.
Disaster management. Yeah. A convoy go there, give them tents. If they were not Ghanaians, what was the responsibility of Ghana in going to Togo? You burn their houses. Whether who burnt it is another question. But the houses were burnt. We went and give them support. My own people, as I sit here, if you go to my village in Ampeni, you know the place. All of them are in Gambia as fishermen. In Ghana town. In Ghana town. If you go to Ivory Coast, I think you know Ivory Coast, there's a whole community of Ghanaians there. So if these people, by chance they come and they want to register, but they can speak the French language, you say they are not Ghanaians. So this is one of the results of this registration. And if you don't take care to manage it after the elections, it will be another matter. At a time when there is this secessionist ideology going on, is that how to play as a commander-in-chief? Is that how you play your cards? Now, if we had not done this registration, nobody would have been killed in Sena. You know that? The young man who was shot, those who were knifed, if we had not done this registration, they will be alive by now. Everybody can die. But this one, they will die as a result of this registration. Or I'm lying. You know, so you may be politically looking at issues. Some of us are not looking at the thing politically because this is not between NDC and MPP. It is about Ghana. It's about, and just as you rightly said, that you and I are friends or whatever. You don't look at me in the face and say we are friends and stab me at the back. Come on. Are you saying that when the UC itself is crying on top of the roof that he was going to compile the best of registers, it was going to compile a register with integrity and everything, now comes out to say that now we have voter register, nobody should talk about it. And those who talk about it are naysayers, and they should be put aside. How are you going to put them aside? Kill them, jail them? What you need to do is to convince me that what the UC has done is credible. You yourself, you are sitting here admitting that minors have gone on the register. Why wouldn't minors go on the register? Come on. If you ask children who are supposed to be examination students, conscript them to school, and every day giving them stuff to say that since the Akufo-Addo has paid for your school fees, you should go and vote for him. We saw it. We saw Nanabi and the rest on the campuses. Didn't you see that? And then don't you know it's against our constitution to give a particular ideology to people? Yet we saw it all. To the extent that parents could not even see their own children in school. We shouldn't talk about it. As for us, as long as the UC has decided that it will not do what is right, as long as the EC continue to lie to the people of Ghana that I am going to buy new machines, we have not bought the machines. The machines we have bought have not even arrived. And that old machines could not be used, but we have used them. We will talk. We will not train our young men and give them guns to go and shoot people at police stations and registration centers. We will not do that. Have you seen NDC doing that? Anytime you arrest somebody with a gun, you know who gave the gun. Has NDC done that? Have you seen the NDC buy guns? Which group of people are causing all the violence in this election, registration? NDC. NDC. And for you to sit here and say you are giving NDC advice, my goodness. My goodness. We don't need such advice that comes from hypocritical thinking. We don't need it. What we need is genuine advice and discussion, isn't it? where we go to IPAC and discuss. You don't come and say that even laughing at an IPAC meeting is an offense. And then come and say that the NDC is causing trouble. What has happened to the EC's old eminent advisors? What has happened to them? What has happened to them? After listening to her and knowing that what she was saying was shambolic, they took Kwame Sefeka and the rest to Peduasi. And he saw the video. He said, Madam, Tafrache, what you are saying doesn't make sense. And indeed, it has come to pass. What the EC said we were going to do and what has done doesn't make any sense. The fact that Muhammad said that he is been satisfied with what has happened does not justify the reckless push to go and register in the midst of COVID. So, for us, winning or losing an election is not a do and die affair at all. I am happy. The president is saying that we are going to conduct these elections or this campaign on the matter of the records. Not so, yes, and the records will be explained. So please, when you have advice, give your advice to your people yourself, but not try to give us advice to us. When you are the people causing the trouble, don't preach to Ghanaians that it's the NDC people who are causing the trouble, because every Ghanaian knows who are the vigilantes. Every Ghanaian knows that when a soldier, people are arrested, molesting people, they look at the address and say, these are not regular soldiers. Who armed them? Who gave them the uniforms? So don't go to Pentecost if you are a Dura person and go and preach. Don't go to go and preach. We in the NDC believe that we agreed that we should go into democracy. Who told you that we are the fathers of democracy in this country? Who told you? The Fourth Republic of Ghana. Tell me which part did MPP contribute. Tell me. After some people of your great people of your party boycotting the 1992 draft constitution, you campaigned against in the referendum. You know, you saw it. You campaigned for no, and then we campaigned for yes, and the constitution becomes the law of the country. Now you people take it and go to court to go and chop. Now you say you are the fathers of democracy. What about those of us who read the constitution, who have separated and midwifed it up to this point? Tell me one violence. Every time you say a trial and whatever it is. Every time. But at what time have we given, for 2 weeks trained telephone repairer or telephone seller a gun to go and scuttle an elections? So, Sena, as for this registration, I'm happy that it has ended. Because if it had gone on for some time, we don't know what would have happened. You understand? I know, we are monitoring. People are being brought into this country and supposed to be quarantined. We have sent people to the hotels and we want to know whether their people are being quarantined. Indeed, they are being quarantined. Whatever you do, now we have the capacity to case you and screw you out. So, as for the Electoral Commission, they must be ashamed for lying to Ghanaians that the register was bloated by the fact that there were minors, that the register was bloated by fact of foreigners, but the foreigners are back on the register, that the minors are still on the register. I rest my case.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Sampiale. And before I go to Mr. Pratt, just a reminder that we are live on Ahunto 92.3 FM. We are also live on Voter One TV. It's the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji And Alhaji. We are discussing the issue of the voters register, the controversies that are already brewing, and the credibility question that's already been raised. Gabriel Selassie says, I am a 70-year-old native of Aplau residing at low cost. Aplau and Kojovia Kope are one and same town. The colonial masters divided it into two. Look, Lomé is the capital of Togo and a free port, where we citizens get our daily needs, which are cheaper. Today, a citizen of Aplau, like Richard Ahiangba, who is an MPP member, is a Ghanaian, but his own brother, who is an NDC, is a foreigner. Ayo, we are waiting for President Akufo-Addo to come to Volta region to campaign. Gabriel sent that from Aplau. Eyu Farouk in Tamale North says good morning. Says the EC boss is just incompetent and clueless, like a paymasters. You were bent on compiling a new register through your paymasters in the name of the older one. In the name of the older one was full of minors, foreigners, and ghost names. And so we can't have a credible register if MPP EC do not phase out the old one. You took a whooping billions of cedis, and that same problem you falsely allege found their way onto the register. What an incompetent body, he says. Salam in Kasalgo says the NDC indeed has been vindicated because it's now obvious the compilation of a new register is useless, needless, and a waste of our resources. After spending $150 million with the tacit support of the impartial Supreme Court, majority in Parliament, and executive to promise a so-called cleaner register, she ended up sending us back to square one with baseless and illogical explanation. Madam Mensa had caused financial loss to the state and must be prosecuted in the next NDC government. If we are not careful, this EC led by Jimensa will plunge this nation into chaos as they will not listen to words of wisdom and reasons. Thank you very much for that one. Eric Hakuna Matata in Koforido says NDC is a social democratic party which is supposed to create social intervention programs to alleviate poverty. By any time they are in power, we suffer various degrees of economic hardships. Everyone can testify that 4 years of MPP is far better than NDC's 8 years because the entire nation is enjoying from the government pro-poor policies. Hashtag 4 more for Nana to do more. He sent that. And Teacher Constitution says, what former President Mahama, who called himself youth president, couldn't do? Nanado, who is an old man, is doing it. Now, I can't read the tweet here. I beg you. If you write it, I'll try. I'm not fluent in reading tweet. Tafainama here says, what is happening in Banda is shameful. Okay, I think I've read that. That was Tafainama here says, okay, my friend John Boyd's press conference was the worst I have ever had. He said the reasons why the numbers at the border towns dropped was because the MPP stopped NDC from bringing foreigners to come and register in our border towns. And he also accused the leaders of the NDC of bringing some Ivorians to come and register at Banda. This is the most ridiculous allegation because those Ivorians who came to register were challenged by NDC party agents, while MPP leaders in the constituency, both MCE and the parliamentary candidates, stood and made sure that those Ivorians were registered. These are the same Ivorians John Boyd said were brought there by the NDC. I couldn't read all of it, but I think I've read much. Musa Bato says, and according to Kamaldin's logic, the EC whose appointment was characterized in shambolic style by Akufo-Addo is an independent body. It shouldn't insult our intelligence. It's however not surprising to see MPP supporting EC. I support calling for independent audit because if it wasn't wrong for KPMG to audit 2012 elections petition at the Supreme Court, I don't see why it's wrong for them to audit current voter register. Nonetheless, Jean Mensan says that there are minors and Ivorians registered. She ultimately discredited the register she pretended over. And finally, Dennis Akwete says if Kamaldin wants to wallow in his self-imposed naivety and ignorance, we'll grant him. But he should not think that he's that intelligent to carry us along. What was he talking about? The demonstration is not permitted. That demonstration is not permitted by law. Or what? And yet it was okay for him to refer to rule of law when it pleases him. Same, they always say that former President GM did not start free SHS when a progressive approach adopted by the NDC was consistent with Article 25 of the 1992 Constitution. On Cut to South, I will spare him for now, except to tell him that my uncle and his children are still locked up in Togo, known to his MPP constituency chairman, who is my first cousin. Shalom. Mr. Pratt.
Well, yesterday.
Before you come in, I think I have taken notice of my ambassador submission, and I've taken note of some of you.
Good.
If the rebuttal is given, of course, I would have to.
But let Kwankwesi finish, then you come.
Let him finish, then we'll see the time we have, then we'll balance it. Mr. Pratt, please.
Well, yesterday I saw a news item on City Television, and it was a story of the burning of an office of the Electoral Commission in Accra. The reporters interviewed the regional boss of the EC, and he made the point that all the papers about the current registration exercise are intact. Now, they were not stored in that office. Now, there's no need for anybody to be alarmed by the fire and its effect on the registration exercise. The reporters left him, and just outside the building, they saw papers on the current registration exercise. Some bent, some partly bent, and some, They then went back to this officer and said, look, these are the papers we found. You told us that these papers were not in this building, but here they are. And the officer's response was that he would not comment any further. That's interesting. These are the things that destroy the credibility of institutions. When officials of institutions tell blatant lies, the credibility of those institutions get destroyed. Not too long ago, a commissioner, an electoral commissioner, actually sat on radio and made the claim that one of the political parties which will contest the 2020 elections is a danger to the promotion of democracy in Ghana. Now, when public officials talk like this, they lose their credibility, they lose their neutrality, and they can no longer be respected by us. We can no longer see them as impartial. Not too long ago, an electoral commissioner actually urged people to vote yes in a referendum which his organization was going to conduct. How do we see the electoral commissioner as being neutral? When commissioners are making such reckless and irresponsible statements. Not too long ago, the chairperson of the commission herself, went to a party organized by female appointees of the president, a party intended to celebrate the president's appointment of women and so on. And she was in there. What does that do to the credibility of this institution, which is supposed to be organizing elections? These are all questions that all of us will answer. Now, I think it's important to make the point that we don't have a new register as we speak. There's no new register. We have just started the processes of compiling a new register. Where we are today, challenges are being made, the register is being cleaned, and so on. When the commission is satisfied that all the challenges have been taken on board and that reasonable measures have been taken to clean the register, it will organize a vote, the exhibition of a register, of a provisional register. That affords all of us as Ghanaian citizens the opportunity to help clean the register. It is only after that that we shall have a register. So as we speak, we don't have a new register. And it's important that we take that into account. Now, it's also important for us to understand that in this exercise, one of the key issues which has arisen is the issue of nationality. And nationality is something which is determined by law. Okay? Of course, fortunately, there's a law student here and there's a lawyer here, and they know about the hierarchy of laws and so on. You cannot forget, when you come to discuss nationality, the case of Gilchrist Olympio, who was the son of a sitting Togolese president, who the courts in Ghana declared as a citizen of Ghana. His father was president of Togo at the time when the law on dual nationality had not been passed. At the time, the law on dual nationality had not been passed. But the Ghanaian courts decided that he was a citizen of Ghana based on his family connection to Ghana and so on. You understand? Now, you put that aside. We now have a law which recognizes dual citizenship. What does that mean? That law simply means that you can be British and Ghanaian at the same time. That you can be Ivorian and Ghanaian at the same time. That you can be a citizen of the United States of America and a citizen of Ghana at the same time. That is what our law says. Now, what is interesting is that the Supreme Court has also made a decision which says that dual nationality is automatically conferred. Automatically. You don't have to do anything. For as long as you are a Ghanaian, if you become a citizen of another country, that dual nationality is automatically conferred. You don't have to apply for it. You don't have to fill a form. You don't have to do nothing. You understand? So now, if there is a person who comes into Ghana to vote or to register and has a Togolese citizenship identity card, it doesn't disqualify the person from registering according to the laws of Ghana. Because you can be a Togolese, have a Togolese identity card, and have a Ghanaian identity card, and it is perfectly normal. It's an automatic conferment of dual citizenship. I hope you understand the argument I'm making. Okay? So in this exercise, all those security personnel who went to the border region and prevented people who had Togolese national ID cards from registering, they were acting against the law. Clear and simple. In fact, there were worse cases. We heard about all kinds of cases. All of us heard about the case in which somebody who wanted to register to vote in Ghana was disqualified on the basis of his handwriting. That his handwriting looked like the handwriting of a Togolese. I mean, how ridiculous can we be? But on the basis of handwriting, people were disqualified. Then there was the story about people who were greeted bonjour in the morning. And if they made the mistake of responding bonjour, they automatically lost their nationality. I'm quite sure that if my brother had happened to be in the Volta region at the time, he probably would have lost his nationality because I'm told he speaks very fluent French. Kamaruddin speaks very fluent French and nobody disqualified him from registering. You understand? So that is how ridiculous things became. Now, various civil society organizations which monitored the exercise have issued their reports. And reading their reports is exceedingly interesting. I've read the report of the CDD. And the CDD is not a surrogate of the NDC, cannot be said to be a surrogate of the NDC or any other political party for that matter. I dare anybody to make the claim that the CDD is a surrogate of the NDC or any other political party for that matter. The CDD report says that this registration exercise witnessed the worst forms of violence in our history. Worst. Somebody going to challenge that? At least 2 people died in this exercise. 2 people died. People pulled knives and stabbed human beings in this exercise. People were hit with clubs and chairs. They were beaten in this exercise. There was pepper spraying in this exercise. Can somebody explain to me the reason why anybody will go to a polling station with a pepper spray in his back pocket? Why would anybody do that? This is premeditated, pre-organized. The people went to polling stations already prepared with their pepper sprays. Something went wrong. Now, if all of this happened just, by ordinary citizens like you and I and so on, maybe we can forgive it. But there's the case of the minister who, on her own admission, woke up in the morning, brushed her teeth, and loaded a gun and drove to a polling station and unleashed bullets in the polling station. Minister of state. That is the extent of the violence. The violence was not just unleashed by hooligans and so on. The violence, it got so bad that a minister of state actually participated in this violence, this disgraceful violence at a polling station and so on. I'm scandalized by this development. Now, Sena, you put the violence aside. All the civil society organizations which observed this process also came up with a report that the process of vouching for registrants was organized and in some cases commercialized. Is this something to be proud of? That people had national ID cards. They were organized to vouch for people that sometimes they didn't even know. They didn't know at all. And that in some instances, you had to pay for people to vouch for you. How can you have a credible register when people vouching for people whose names will go on the register didn't know them? And this is not my report. This is not an NDC report. This is a report of civil society organizations and so on. Now, if you are not scandalized by this, what again? There are so many things that we haven't investigated. There are so many things which have not been established. And because you haven't established those things, you cannot go around, making analysis of figures. These analysis of figures which are being thrown at us are extremely pedestrian and useless. Now listen to me. Under any circumstance, if you compile a new voters register, numbers will come down. You know why? The last register was compiled in 2012. Can somebody tell me the number of those on the register who have died since 2012? That is not being factored into all the calculations and the analysis which are being made, because we don't know. I don't know how many people were on the register who have died since 2012. My brother doesn't know. Nobody knows. You understand? Put that aside. How many people have left the jurisdiction of Ghana whose names were on the register, and because they have left the jurisdiction of Ghana, especially in this COVID situation, cannot come back to register? That number is also unknown. Point that the registered voter population in Asante has come down. And then I heard my brother Kamaruddin say that, in fact, Ashanti is the second highest has the second highest number. They're talking about, how do they say? They say you're comparing apples with monkeys. That's what you're doing. Ashanti can be the highest number of registrants and still lose numbers. So that doesn't address all these calculations which are being made and so on. You understand? Now, for me, what is the purpose of compiling a register? Look, our laws are clear. What the law says is that every and any Ghanaian who is 18 years and above and of sound mind can vote in an election. You understand? What qualifies us to vote in an election is not the fact that we have our names on a register. What qualifies us to vote in an election is that we are Ghanaians, we are 18 years and above, and we are of sound mind. We compile voters' registers in order to give us an idea about the numbers of people who can vote in an election, so that we can detect overvoting, so that we can detect fraud and so on. We compile voters' registers to bring about, it's an administrative measure which gives effect to the law which says that any Ghanaian who is 18 years and above can register. I hope you understand what I'm saying. The law also makes it an obligation for the Electoral Commission and all other institutions connected with the elections to make sure that Ghanaians who are 18 years and above and of sound mind are not unduly denied the opportunity to vote in an election. Alright? So therefore, all these Ghanaians who have been deliberately disenfranchised and so on, they have the right to go to court to stop the election. They have a right to go to court and to insist that they are given a fair opportunity to participate in that election. And I am hoping that those who claim to have been disenfranchised will have the courage and the resources to challenge this registration exercise and to insist that their name should be included in the register and that they be allowed to register. Look, somewhere in the Brown Afro region, all of us saw it on television. People who are being prevented from registering. And the chief of the town came and said, yes, these are people who are in the Ever community in my town. They settled in this town in 1919 and they have stayed here since 1919. And the chief said, they have married us and we have married them. And there's no reason for preventing them from registering. And the chief issued a warning which I would not repeat on this platform. People who have settled in this country from 1919 were being prevented from registering. Now listen. One of the most shocking things that happened in this registration exercise was the effort to stop people who were going to registration centers in buses. I couldn't believe it. You know, our problem is that in this country, we have given big positions to all manner of public officials who don't know this country. They don't know this country. That's their problem. Now, brother, there are parts of this country where the only vehicle that goes to that area does so once a week. Once a week. So, transportation is communally organized. If you miss the truck, you have to stay home for 1 week before you can get out of that town. So for people in those communities, they organize transportation on a communal basis. So if you see people in the bus going to a registration center and you stop them, it betrays the fact that you do not understand the culture, the infrastructural levels in this country and so on. You have no understanding of it. So there could be nothing wrong with people living in overseas territories and territories which are not reached by vehicles and who may live 5 kilometers away from a registration center, organizing themselves and joining buses to go and register. In any case, in which part of the world don't we have voter mobilization? In the United States elections, that's what they call voter mobilization. In Britain, there's voter mobilization. Everywhere in the world, there's voter mobilization. Anybody who has contested parliamentary elections or been involved in parliamentary campaigns and so on knows about voter mobilization. You go to your strongholds, you encourage them to register, and you facilitate their participation in registration and voting. Is that wrong? What is wrong with that? What law is against voter mobilization in Ghana? I cannot understand it. Now, you know something? All these big men who were busily preventing people from registering on the allegation, the flimsy allegation that they were Togolese or Ivorian and so on. Many of them are British citizens. Many of them vote in the British elections and vote in the Ghana elections. Many of them are American citizens. They vote for Donald Trump in America and they come here and vote for Nana Akufo-Addo. And they find nothing wrong with it. So if you are Ghanaian British, you can vote in our elections. If you are an American Ghanaian, you can vote in our elections. But if you are a Togolese Ghanaian, then you are inferior. You are not allowed to vote. What nonsense is that? What discrimination is that? This is blatant discrimination. Discrimination against African people. You are discriminating against people who are Togolese Ghanaian and allowing people who are American Ghanaians to vote. What does that mean? Does that make sense? And then we proclaim, we loudly proclaim our commitment to Pan-Africanism. Well, what is that? What is that? I'm ashamed of some of the practices that were unearthed in this exercise. My brother, this exercise can only make meaning. This exercise is only worth the amount of money which has been spent on it if it leads to proper elections on December 7, 2020. If it makes it possible for people to freely express their choices on 2020. If it doesn't do that on December 7, 2020, this whole exercise is useless. Now I'm worried, I'm deeply worried that some of the things that we are seeing in the compilation of the voters register may be seen on December 7, 2020. If on December 7, 2020, some minister or ministers carry weapons and go to police stations and start shooting, I don't know how that is going to end up. If on December 7, 2020, some party hooligans carry pepper spray into polling stations, I don't know what will happen. If on December 7, 2020, organized party hooligans will go to polling stations with sticks and clubs to go and do what they did in the registration exercise, this registration exercise will be useless. I was hopeful that Ayawaso West Wagon will provide us with an opportunity to show reckless, irresponsible hooligans that they have no place in our election process. Unfortunately, we failed to do that. If we had done that when the issues in Ayawaso West Wagon had come up, perhaps violence in this registration exercise would have been minimized. Today, there are people who have been maimed, somebody has been killed, and so on in this exercise. The whole of Ghana is waiting to see what will happen to the perpetrators of this violence act. We must make an example of these hooligans. We must make an example of these charlatans. We must make an example of these characters who represent the Tonton Makuts of Papa Doc. These Tonton Makuts must be brought to book to serve as an example to those who would dream about perpetrating violence in the December 7, 2020 elections. Look, the people of Ghana are not ready to surrender their dignity and their rights because a few hooligans will carry guns, because a few hooligans will carry pepper spray. These democratic rights are rights which were fought for and gained by our people. Many people lost their lives in the struggle to establish democracy in this country. It was a fight, it was a struggle. Many people lost their jobs. Some ended up in prison and so on. We are not ready to surrender these rights today, no matter what the consequences are. And the people of Ghana insist that December 7, 2020 should see transparent, fair, and credible elections. Nobody would accept anything short of credible, transparent, and fair elections on December 7, 2020. And this should be a clear message to the Electoral Commission, to the government, to the judiciary, to the security services, and to all of us. We will have credible, transparent, and free elections on December 7th, or we will have no elections. Finish.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pratt, for sharing those thoughts with us. Of course, we must have. It's important. It's what the Electoral Commission is mandated to deliver. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll deal with the other issues, and then we'll deal with the other topics. It's Alhaji And Alhaji live on Pan-African Television. Untitled 92.3 FM is our major partner, radio partner here within the Greater Accra Metropolis. We'll be back.
Market Stories is all about our market. Issues such as sanitation, market structures, storage facility, pricing, bargaining, and everything else that goes on in the market. It's going to be very educative, entertaining, and interactive. We would visit our various markets with both sellers and buyers to know everything concerning our market. Join me. My name is Maud Ya Anandinate. I'm your market lady.
Morning is an important time of the day because how you spend your morning can often tell you what kind of day you're going to have. I want you to have a great day. So start your day with me because I can guarantee a great show every weekday on Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. I will be serving some inspiration, news, business, health, newspaper review, music, and so much more. Join me, Kwame Owusu Danso on Good Morning Africa on Pan-African Television. Let's have a truly African morning. Medasi.
You're welcome back from that break. If you just join us, then you miss a lot. Frankly, you did miss a lot, but there's so much more coming up on the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. My name is Sena Nombo. Let me introduce my panel once again. Mr. Kwesi Prajini, as usual, is with us and sharing his thoughts with us. Ambassador Sampiale has joined us today. Gabriela Tete is also with us, and Kamal Dean from the New Patriotic Party is joining us. Big thank you to my panel for making time today. But let me just read a couple messages. This one is coming from Kojo Chumbawo. He says, Sena, good morning. One of the reasons that the EC gave for wanting a new register was a bloated register. The new register they have compiled has more people than the old register. So was the old register bloated? Is this what we spent 1.8 billion Ghana cedis of our taxpayers' money on? The brigands, buccaneers, and high robbers who have milked this nation will pay dearly for their crimes. This one is from Charles Cardinal in Pokwasi, who says the leadership style of the current president is worse than, and he has shown ethnic bigotry against the others and sought to divide the people of this country by using a corrupt system to question citizenship of others. Never again. God will vote to change this albatross on our neck. David Sena says, I perfectly agree with my brother Kwesi Pratt and earlier reminded speakers on Ghana's hard-won democracy. Please tell the MPP spokesperson Kamal Dean that they shouldn't throw dust in our eyes with this claim of MPP being staunch protectors of democracy. Is it not the forebears who attempted to truncate Ghana's independence by asking the British government to postpone it until a later date? We should go and read his history. Positive Change in Medina is also sharing his thoughts on the discussion. He chooses to talk about Akufo-Addo and Mensa-led commission still think they can deceive Ghanaians this time around. We the citizens are very wiser and wide awake. No room for tricks, lies, deception, and vindictiveness. No matter what they do, Akufo-Addo and his elephant will go into the bush come 7 December. John Mahama is a nation builder. Thank you for those messages that you continue to send in. Charles Thompson is on Pan-African Television on Facebook. He says the legendary Kwesi Pratt, very factual, assertive, and objective when discussing matters of national importance. Sylvanos Odogu Beans is also joining us and says good morning to all of us, especially Uncle Kwesi Pratt Jr. Says, please tell the MPP man he is blowing hot air and we can't get anything from all he... Okay. Said, indeed, it's true. When the gods want to kill you, they first make you mad. Okay. Eroka Abubakar says, this MP man doesn't know what he's saying about this register. I've been voting since 1992, but due to COVID, I've been locked up in the USA. And so now I am disenfranchised as well as millions of Ghanaians in diaspora disenfranchised. And you call this register credible? We those in diaspora are not dead, as MPP and EC want the Ghanaians and the world to believe. And Charles Thompson says, don't underestimate the intelligence of the long-suffering masses. One day, they will say enough is enough. And I'm afraid it will be too late for the self-centered and greedy politicians running the show in the corrupt reading country. And, okay. And this one says, Udeduj says, Sena, it's very interesting that Ivorian borders were closed, but some people were arrested claiming to be Ivorians who had already registered. And the figures around the border towns, they saw an increase. But coming to the voter, the figures dropped significantly. And no complaints of any arrest of a foreigner who was registered and not attempting to register. This is just food for thought. He sent that to us. We'll move on to the discussion on the other issues. And of course, anybody who has any issues to raise must have to raise it within his time. Because I'm 2 minutes past 11 and I have 2 issues to deal with. So I'll give everybody as much time as I can. But you can't be close to 50 minutes. They won't go that far to deal with the 2 topics. The 2 topics we have left are the issue of the youth, the question that's been asked of former President Mahama by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is asking what was he done for the youth, and then we'll talk about the issue of the nomination of Kamala Harris as the running mate, or the running mate to Joe Biden. I'll start once again with Gabriela.
So this week was International World Youth Day, and both parties had events to commemorate the day. I know our vice presidential running mate had a program at East Legon to meet with the youth of Ghana. Vice President Bawumia also had a program to meet with the youth of the NPP. at which he made many claims and asked for the NDC flag bearer to also come with his records. At his meeting, I'm going to start with all the claims he made before I go to the records of the NDC in the youth development arena. He claimed that one of the manifesto promises was that every Ghanaian will have a bank account. Now, with everybody, with looking at the scale up at which the mobile money sector has grown, he's now taking credit that because we have many more mobile money wallets now compared to 2013, they have now created a bank account for every Ghanaian. In 2013, because that was when President Mahama was sworn in as president of the Republic of Ghana. In 2013, we had a little over 5.5 million Ghanaians owning bank accounts. By the year 2016 December, that figure had grown to 10 million. Only some 4.5 million growth in the sector in terms of actual accounts. In 2013, we had a little under 5 million mobile money wallets. And 2013, which was about 4.7 million mobile money wallets. By December 2016, it had grown to 20 million wallets.
2016?
Yes. 15.6 million additional mobile money wallets between 2013 to 2016. The population of Ghana is 30 million, which means there are roughly about 10 million Ghanaians who do not have mobile money wallets, assuming that every Ghanaian has a wallet. In 2013, we grew the float from transactions from 547 million. Transactions scaled up 737%. That was a growth in the sector. As of December 2016, we had 1,275 million Ghana cedis on float in the mobile money ecosystem. Now tell me, has Baumia given every Ghanaian a bank account? Or was it John Mahama who gave an additional 50 million Ghanaians bank accounts? Now you want to know what increased the numbers in that space. In 2013, mobile money payments were used mostly for transactions. I transfer money to you, I'm buying something, I'm going to cash out, you are buying something, you give me. That was it. Between 2015-2016, we decided to increase the services in the ecosystem. So now you had pension funds coming on board into your mobile money wallet. You had savings and loans coming on board to support the sector. We had a bill payment for your DSTV, school fees, merchants, businesses, all kinds of new services were introduced into the mobile money ecosystem. In 2016, we introduced the payment of interest on mobile wallets. So for the first time, Ghanaians were seeing the mobile telco companies credited their mobile money wallets with money as interest earned for the transactions on their phones. Am I lying? Is that not what happens in the banking sector? So who is it that has actually given Ghanaians a bank account? We spent in interest payments 24.7 million Ghana cedis was paid to Ghanaians who have mobile money on their phones. Now let's go to the youth. He says Mahama did nothing for the youth. Let's start from education. When we took office, don't NDC me. By the time I finish, you cry for your Baumia. In 2013, when President Mahama took office as president, we had a research done to look at in the educational sector, looking at the number of graduates who come out of the GSS system, in addressing the issue of unemployment. We took a holistic view of the whole setup. What is accounting for the unemployment? We have students who are graduating from JSS. They are not able to make the pass mark to go to secondary school, so they fall off. What can we put in place there to pick them up? We have people who have qualified to go to secondary school, but we don't have enough facilities in the secondary schools to absorb them. What measures do we put in place to pick them up? For JSS, who had finished JSS and did not make the pass mark, for the first time, we gave them the opportunity to resit their BECE papers under our current running mate, who was then Minister for Education. Is that not doing something for the youth? In the secondary, for them to transcend to secondary education, for those who do not get access to go to school because we didn't have enough infrastructure, we scaled up infrastructure investment in the second cycle schools, expansion in dormitories, in dining facilities, in classroom facilities. The famous e-blocks was one of the recommendations for fixing that problem. So that for the e-blocks, we signed a $156 million facility with the World Bank. That facility, that e-block project, was now going to give the opportunity to 30,000 students who ordinarily would have fallen off because as a country we do not have enough spaces to accommodate them and give them education. For the young people who come from deprived communities, 48,000 of them were given scholarships to also have an education. For those children who do not have shoes to wear to go to school, government gave them 10,000 school sandals. We heard about the free school sandals program under the NDC. For those who did not have uniforms to go to school, government gave out 785,000 free school uniforms so that young people can be dressed up appropriately and also go to the classroom. For the girls who during their 5-day monthly cycle are unable to go to school and their education is disrupted, government said no. We'll give you free sanitary towels so that the girls can go back and sit in the classroom for education. Is that not credit to President Mahama? I've not finished. Under education, for those who've managed to go beyond secondary school into the tertiary level, you know of the Student Loan Trust. In 2013, we increased the student loan from 650,000 to over 1,000. As of 2013, there were 13,853 people who had applied to the Student Loan Trust for support. By this intervention alone, the number had increased to 24,951 by the 2015-2016 academic year, which means that more people now have access to funding. Under the same student loan, we introduced another product called the Student Loan Plus. For those students who come from deprived homes and during registration of their courses are unable to pay their fees, you apply to the Student Loan Plus scheme and you are pre-financed your education. Is that not credit to President Mahama? He said we've done nothing for the youth. Let's continue. When the students graduate, whether you are graduating from JSS, from SSS, or from tertiary, you come into the job market. What are the options available to you? We have the YEA program, which we reformed from what was left off of the NYEP and the challenges we discovered and the weaknesses with the GIDA program. So we reformed the YEA and now backed it by legislative instrument. On Thursday, their national organizer, Samia Oku, who is the chairman of the YEA board, a direct beneficiary of a John Mahama intervention, was on their pro-MPP media houses, saying Mahama does not deserve to come back because he's done nothing for the people of Ghana, where he himself standing there as board chairman of YEA is a direct beneficiary of a Mahama intervention. Under the YEA, they make a lot of noise about their NAPCO and their 100,000 employed under NAPCO. Under the YEA, in 2015 alone, YEA engaged 120,000 young people. You didn't hear us do any pop and pageantry at the Black Star Square over it. Under YEA, we observed something. For the students after graduate from university, they're going to do national service. The problem we have with data is that we are unable to capture how many people finish national service, how many of them are actually in the field of work. For those who are not able to make it to the field of work, what intervention can we put in there? Because consistently, we have companies coming to register through the Free Zones Board to set up businesses. We have them coming through the GIPC. We have them coming to the Registrar General's Department. Every day, somebody is filing a new business. Very well. What can we do to make sure that these businesses, when they come in, will look at the Ghanaian youth, have a system where they can approach and do the recruitment from that system, so that we have credible data to support us that this number of people graduated, have done national service, and these are the jobs placements where they are. What incentive regime are we putting in to support the businesses that come and take our young people and give them jobs? So we give them tax incentives when you recruit from the YEA database. And that's the reason why you have a representative from the national service on the YEA board, to make sure that we have that seamless interaction between the national service scheme and the Youth Employment Authority. So that when the company comes to Ghana and says that we want to recruit 80 people, you go to the database, because it keeps the data of almost every person who has gone to do national service. And then it tells you, this one did accounting, this one did this, this one did this. And you're able to extract the people you need. So you, the student, you've not gone for an interview anywhere. You are there and somebody calls you. You haven't sent your CV to any organization, but you are there and the organization will call you. Can you come for an interview on so and so date? And you are wondering, but where did they get my name from? That was where they got your name from. That was an intervention of the NDC under President Mahama. For those young people who don't want to work for anybody, but have the aim of working for themselves, under the Youth Enterprise Support Program, we'll give you mentoring, business support, funding, and there are people who manage, who grow your business with you, who advise you. All of that is given under the Youth Enterprise Support. We allocated $10 million to that program. You heard on Thursday, President Akufo-Addo went to Dawenya to go and commission 75 greenhouse tents that he has boldly going to paste his name on top of it. Nana Akufo-Addo Innovation and Entrepreneurial something project. He's not even ashamed. That project, those greenhouses that he's going to put his name on, came into this country 2016 under the Youth Enterprise Support Program to support young people in agriculture, because they don't have access to land, but they want to go into agriculture. So what intervention can you put in place to help them get into agriculture, to produce vegetables? Then Akufo-Addo has now going to take credit for it. And you know that interesting thing? When Akufo-Addo became president, under this same YES program, it was one of the first things he came to rename. He changed the name of the YES program to the NEIP, with John Kuma now as there as chief executive. The two of them together went and named that project, Muhammad Project, as Akufo-Addo Project. It's not a shame. You know the tragedy about that trip. You know, when they were coming from that trip, they knocked down a poor guy and they left him by the roadside. You see, my voice is breaking even talking about it. Presidential convoy with ambulance in tow. The guy was wearing black boots, green trousers. The rest I will not say, but there was a Ghana crest on his hand. Now,
you have to wrap up for me, because you're way past.
I'm not even warming up, please. The things are many.
No. You have to wrap up for me. I don't have that time.
Let them take some of my time.
Thank you very much.
No.
God bless you.
You have to state exactly what time, so I'll hold yours.
He's adding 5 minutes to my time, so now I have 10 more minutes.
No, you don't.
I have how many?
Actually, you have 3
You haven't
minutes.
wasted my 3 seconds. now, all the same young people, we observed that there's a specialized group of people who are very interested in IT. So now we are going into the talent of the people of Ghana, the young people of Ghana. Those who are interested in IT development, software, applications, programming. We built the Accra Digital Center to serve as an incubation center. Plug and go. Internet access, electricity, space. Come and do your software designing and programming and develop solutions, technological solutions. That was our Silicon Valley. Today under President Akufo-Addo, it is now rented space for NGOs. The purpose of that project is defeated, and every day their chief executive, instead of going to see how he's going to build the gift of young people, is also on social media. Anyway, then also in the area of sports, Ghanaians love football. Ghanaians love boxing. We have the Bukom Boxing Arena for those young people who want to develop their talents in boxing. We have stadiums across the country with gyms, including my own Cape Coast. We have a stadium there now with a gym, a basketball court, football field. We now even hold international matches there so that young people who are interested in sports can develop their talent. And on and on and on and on it goes. Under the NPP, they'll come and tell you they have done astroturfs. Then they'll come and tell you we have 1 district, 1 factory to support youth employment. During the NDC administration, look at the massive investments we put in infrastructure. That alone brought in over 400,000 jobs to young people. We had businesses coming into this country to set up, injecting over 4 billion into the economy of Ghana. Their business exports out of Ghana alone brought in over 400 billion to this economy. Under the NPP manifesto, they have all these promises for the youth. Menado says he's coming to create a skills development fund. We already had a skills development fund, which had allocated 50 million to young people. Menado skills, the youth development fund, is still yet to materialize. He said he was going to give free Wi-Fi to university students. It is yet to materialize. I can sit here and tell you every failed promise of Ronaldo, but let me tell you about Jahoma Mahama's own. When Mahama comes back into office December 2021, December 2020, when the people of Ghana vote for him, 10 billion is going into infrastructure to provide job for artisans, painters, welders, masons, etc., etc. Teacher licensure exams, we are cancelling it. It is no longer going to work. Under a John Mahama administration, we have what we call the apprenticeship program, which is going to give support to young people who go out to do apprenticeship, because we now want to promote technical and vocational education. The artisans who take up these young people to come and serve as apprentices under them will also be incentivized. When the young people graduate from serving the apprenticeship program, we are going to give them the tools and equipment they need to also set up their own small businesses. Under John Mahama, during the time of 2013-2016, we pumped in well over 3 billion into all kinds of funds to support businesses, including those in the poultry industry, those in agriculture, crop production. Yes,
you have gone too far.
So please, if anything at all, I've told you what President Mahama did 2013-2016. President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Baumia together should also hold a joint press conference and tell us what it is they have also done for the young people of Ghana, apart from NAPCO and 1 district, 1 factory. We've heard that one before, and 3 SHS. They should tell us something new. I've said over 20 tests Mahama has done. He should give us even 10 to equalize.
Thank you. Odoma Kuma Obuade from Bantama says, it is high time John Boydu knows that he's General Secretary and not a General Security. Mensha South is never a border town, but the numbers have reduced from 65,000 plus to 35,000 plus, including Bantama, Oforokrum, etc. What John Boydu has to say, what does John Boydu has to say about that one? Millions of sweet talks cannot fool fool the people all the time, he said. Thank you. And we see in the UK, says, Kwesi Pratt's statement is clear to the state institutions that matter in Ghana's election. Well said. Kwesi, Nanado and his government are creating too much tension in Ghana and in Ghana politics. The tension is too much for Ghanaians, and this must stop. Ghanaians need to put food on their table, not this tension upon tension. We are getting fatigued with this government's behavior and governance. Nana, are you not tired? Ghanaians are tired with the political tensions in Ghana constantly. Kwesi sent that from the UK. Alhaji.
Sena, thank you very much. I am going to make sure the time given me is going to be used prudently and judiciously.
Thank you.
You see, Ambassador Sampiale says that the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana is not a Ghanaian. He holds a British citizenship.
He didn't say that. They said he holds a British citizenship.
It's not true. And I'm saying it's not true. The Constitution of Ghana is so clear. You cannot hold dual citizenship and be a president. He knows it. We don't do this. Young ones like us are listening. It's very wrong. Okay, so let me set that record right. Okay. The Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, is not a dual citizenship holder. Okay. Whoever says it, in fact, has nothing to back it. And I think we should be clear on this matter. Let's move on. Okay. Violence during the registration, as espoused and clearly, expatiated by Uncle Kwesi, indeed, must be condemned. We all well-meaning Ghanaians must condemn act of violence at the just ended registration process. I agree with him when he says we have not compiled a new register yet. I agree. I mentioned earlier on in my submission that it was a process that gives us a credible election, hence not an event. So I agree with him. It's a process. I am also happy that there is a window of remedy, okay, that we are presented with as a people and also as Electoral Commission being an institution to ensure that indeed whatever that is untoward, that is not right, that is erroneous, is corrected. If we hadn't got a window at all, that is why it would have been a worry to us. But I am happy that if we have some infractions, if we have some errors, and there's a window for that to be, if you like, ameliorated or to be remedied, of course, we should be happy about the challenges are to be presented. There is nothing in this world that gives us 100%. No. Nothing will give you 100%. Now, the last bit of Uncle Kwesi's submission appears more of a caution to all of us in the country, more of an advice to all of us in the country about the elections on December 7, 2020. However, subtly, it appears more of a threat. Again, when we see somebody loading a gun on 27, we all know what is going to happen. When we see this, we all know what is going to happen. You see, we have heard this prior to this registration process. Ghana will burn. Ghana will do what? Ghana will do what? Look, I think it's just proper that the caution that is thrown to all of us will stay on it. But not to throw out this acts of threats. Why? I think if we continue on this tone, then the other area also continue on that tone. Where is Ghana? Have you forgotten in 2008 what the NDC did? Claps, machetes, cutlasses, all over at the Electoral Commission picketing. We will agree in 2008, led by Asedun Ketia. Then when they finish, they'll turn around and tell, hey, that is the act of NDC. NDC will come out and behave violently. Then they turn around and tell you, no, It's not we, it is the NPP. When you push them to the wall, they will tell you, boot for boot. We have violence in our DNA. No party in this country say they have violence in their DNA. It's NDC that said that. That they have violence in their DNA. And that when you joke, they meet you boot for boot. It's a caution to all of us by Uncle Kwesi. Whether we want our democracy to move on well, whether we want to be good friends, then we move on. Then lastly, on my rebuttal, Uncle Sampiale says, if you are my friend and you go behind to stab me, you don't become my friend. I don't see where we have stabbed each other anyway. It's the registration we've gone to do. He has his card in his wallet maybe. I have my card in my wallet. I don't see where the stab is. I will remain a good friend to him. And I will remain a good friend to the NDC. And I will remain a good friend to other political parties. So that we can promote social inclusion among ourselves and move on. Now, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia's claim that the administration of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, okay, has done more and better for the youth of this country than the administration of John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency the former president. That assertion is completely true. I appreciate the struggle of my sister when she had to go patrolling looking for achievements of NDC and what they did for the youth. She went virtually fishing, seriously patrolling, looking for so many things to do to come and tell her. I appreciate the struggle. You see, I appreciate her struggle. You see, and in the course of her patrolling, she ended up mentioning 3 key issues that has affected positively the youth of this country. Masses of this country, mass of the youth of this country have actually enjoyed from it directly just by the intervention of good policies of this government. She mentioned it and said, apart from that one, what else? Giving credit to the administration of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo by herself. I'm happy she did that at the tail end of her submission. She says that almighty free SHS, we shouldn't mention it. Apart from that, we shouldn't mention it. What else are we going to mention again? I will mention almighty free SHS today, and I will mention it tomorrow, because that poor person sitting in Ewutu Senya, that woman who is roasting plantain, frying granules, struggling in Ewutu Senya Bogasu market.
But under
please, madam, I was very quiet. Please, madam, let's enjoy this program. Let's this program. I know it's pitching you, but just be quiet.
Go ahead.
That woman in the Bogasu market, where I go all the time. You know the Bogasu Zongo. I have some of my family members there, so I go the weekends to say hello. Alhaji Ibrahim. You see, so and that woman sitting there has the children enjoying free SHS. Hitherto, she would have struggled to get money to pay for their fees. Today, that woman has a story to tell. So you tell me I shouldn't mention free SHS? Where we are spending so much money? Where the flag bearer of the NDC will tell you that there was so much money spent on the education of people in this country. That is too much. I heard him when he was in Cape Coast some time ago. That why should we spend so much money to educate the youth of this country? I mean, to educate people in free SHS when there are other sectors. Complaining virtually. The next moment they will come and tell you, when I come, I will make it better. I thought they will cancel it. Yes, complain of spending so much money. For the voter who is watching me, for the young man who is in school today, for the old lady who has no money and today there has been respite provided you, remember, there is 4 more to do more for you and I. 2. What did she mention? YEA. That they have come to create a legal framework for YEA and put together a legal framework. Interesting. Then, by the tail end, she said we have come to change yes to NEP. And we are not ashamed of ourselves that we have even changed yes to NEP. No. one.
It's about the greenhouse. Yeah. Please.
Oh, you see, I am communicating.
Put me in context.
No, I am communicating.
Yeah.
She said that we are not ashamed that after changing years to NEP and going to adopt the greenhouse project, then writing our names on it, we are not ashamed. Interesting. Let me remind her if she has forgotten. She rightly cited NYEP with metamorphose into JIDA, where they J and D and Koda. They will J and D and Koda. Some people are languishing in jail because of JIDA, as we speak. No, please, let's move on. Then it metamorphosed from JIDA to NYE. YE, sorry.
Yeah, YE.
She said that one, they should give credit to John Dramani Mahama. And that my national organizer is even enjoying from the fruits of John Dramani Mahama. Pathetic. The fundamental point I want to make here concerning youth employment in this country has to do with who created, who sat down, thought out of the box, and came out with a policy that will lead to massively or largely employing the youth in this country, and mooted the idea and they made it possible. It was the administration of NPP under His Excellency John Ajekum Kufuor, and when NYEP came. From NYEP, when you came in 2009, running to 2010 thereabout, then you then decided to change the name to JIDA. Then later on, you change the name again to YEA, where you go to be a champion and go to draft the legal framework. Then later on, you came YEA, you move on with it, and says you have had jobs for people. It is the same policy that we gave you. We gave you a link. Today, that one, we should praise John Dramani Mahama. We shouldn't praise the MPP for it. It is our idea. It is completely our idea. You can't rewrite the history here. You cannot rewrite the history of NYA here. Please, I beg you. So don't say you brought it. That is my point. Then, she poo-pooed NAPCO. They poo-pooed NAPCO. NAPCO is nothing. Under your watch, there was what we call Graduate Unemployment Association in this country. Under your watch. They were all over. When we came, we said no. As a government that thinks about the youth, a government that thinks about people who have actually just come from the tertiary institutions, sitting at home and have nothing to do, let's see what we can do to get them busy, because the devil provides work for the idle hands. Let us put in place a policy that will, in the tentative, get them working, get them learn again until they get what we call a permanent employment somewhere to move on. Thinking out of the box again. The NDC, what have you done for the youth? I can go on and on and on. The agri sector, very excellent. And when I mention it, people tell me, why am I going to talk about it? Look, 90% of the people of the northern part of Ghana, okay, I stand corrected though, work in the agri sector. Subsistence farming is what we dwell on. If you have a government that comes in and that government thinks of you and says, let's put mechanisms in place, so that incentives, so that we can motivate you by giving you incentives to continue with it, and that government comes to put in place policies that will see fertilizer subsidized, that will see agri input subsidized, then you can move on. Largely, it creates jobs for the youth, as it were. Under your watch, how many teachers did you engage? You spoke about education. Interesting.
40,000.
How many? Today, look at the number of people who have been engaged.
How many?
Okay? Now you sit here and then you poo-poo it. I don't have a problem. At least if you are a social democratic party, or you are social democrats as you call yourself, somebody comes to say that, look, there is an incentive, there's something small given to a student in school who is learning to become a teacher. There's an allowance, at least something small to cushion the plight of the person. you come look them in the face as social democrats, cancel it, scrap it, and say, go and wallow in poverty and learn. They cancelled it without recourse to, look, without any feeling. They don't mind. Then the man who is supposed to be a capitalist, as you describe him, that the party is a capitalist party, they are capitalist mongers and all that, comes and say, no, that man is suffering. I will reinstall, or I am going to bring back, or restore, I should say. I'm going to restore the allowances that the man who thought he was a social democrat cancelled and brought it back. Teacher trainee allowances. You care so much about teachers. If you are a teacher trainee and you are watching me, remember, the man who cancelled it is coming back again. Push him out. That man who says that you don't deserve it is the man who wants your votes again. If you are a nursing trainee or a trainee nurse, that man who says you don't deserve allowance is the man coming back again. They've not changed him. It's still John Dramani Mahama. He will come and then tell you, you don't deserve it. He will push it out. So I am appealing to you. Watch those who care about you. Those who are human-centered. Those who feel that you need to be cushioned to have your education. And vote massively for them. And I continue to tell you that, look, when it comes to really looking at, policies that will come to mitigate the suffering of the people of this country, without a doubt, those who claim and parade themselves as social democrats don't come nowhere near. They come nowhere near. I'm telling you, the NDC, when we make comparative analysis, okay, the NDC and the MPP, people who actually have had pro-poor policies put in place, it is the MPP. Today we have had to do with mass transport here in this country because the MPP thought out of the box and brought it. Metro mass transit, yes. We have had, it's a fact. Today I speak to you, the poor person sitting down can access health facility and go to the hospital with that money because the MPP thought out of the box and brought it. They couldn't do it. Today we sit here and the poor person is supposed to go to school because the MPP thought out of the box and got you to go to secondary school for free. Today we sit here and the poor person in training college, I've mentioned it, get allowance to support your education because the MPP thought out of the box to help you. The same thing to the nursing trainee. Name them. The beneficiaries of NACO. The MPP thought out of the box to get you. And you come sit here and then go all your petroling and then give credit to Muhammad saying nothing. How do you give credit to somebody who has done nothing? How do you do that?
Okay.
So I will urge that we find time and continue to have such healthy discourse and continue to try as much as possible to look at policies that indeed are real in this country and have worked for the people. Then we dwell on them and discuss them better. Then we can move on as a country. But without a doubt, I tell you, the NDC will on any day come nowhere near to our policy as it were.
Thank you, Alhaji. My good friend Democracy, Kofi Eboa Brighton Kete Krachi said we are live on, I hope I get the name right, Nyawasi Radio 89.7. Nyawasi Radio 89.7. So a good morning to them, and thank you very much for offering us your platform. We are still finding out the radio stations we are actually on. We had a long list back then. We've lost a lot of them. So if you can get in touch with us, we'll be very grateful so that we can acknowledge some of you. A big thank you to our good friends at Gbewa Radio in Yendi for joining the family. A big thank you. Angelo Kojofiagbe says the standards set by Baumia are now trivial. Those standards are of colonial brains. Senator Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman is the new standard. Kamala Harris, one of the biggest problems to some of us Trump lovers. With the Professor Abani de Mahama Fa, he says, this one is from.
We're going to add Kamala's issue, or not now?
The time is up. I cannot allocate.
If you want my time, I'll give you.
This one is from. Okay, so this one is from Jibril, who says, Sena, did you have a chance to watch Professor Nana on KSM show last night? Spending a whole hour talking only about Ghana. No comedy, no drama, no insult. That's what we expect of the office of the Vice President. I personally think we shouldn't be wasting our time discussing Bawumia. December 7 will restore dignity to that office, he said. Micah Flu says, when Kevin Taylor came out with documentary evidence to prove that Dr. Bawumia is a British citizen, has Bawumia come out to debunk it? On MPP man's pronouncement from then, Bawumia does not qualify to occupy the position of Vice President of Ghana. Ambassador.
Brother, give Camera your pen and paper. So to write what I'm going to tell you.
Ambassador Sapiale. Why?
I want you to.
No, I have one. Don't worry.
I want you to write from October 18, 2006 to 15th April 2009. Where did Dr. Bawumia work? And search on the website of that bank and find out what he stated as being his citizenship. So, have you written? As if, Sena, I knew that this is not going to be the usual recitation by the MPP. These days, even if he scratches back, they go NAPCO, free SHS, planting for food, whatever.
I don't know achievements.
And it's because you call them achievement, but people have not gone beyond your claims to find out what the situation is. Sena, you and I sitting here, Kwesi, myself, everybody. Did anybody pay our school fees to be here? Haven't you been to school? Haven't you been to school? So if you take our own money, our own oil money, and pay people's school fees, is it your money? In any case, let me give you some data. And that's why I said take your pen and paper. So are you ready for me? Google 13 December 2014. Why Ghanaians should reject NDC's free senior high school. Google, you'll find it. Then 6 March 2014. Mahama's free SHS, good for Ghana, president, and then Akufo-Addo, candidate Akufo-Addo. Mahama's free senior high school, good for Ghana. That is 6th March 2014. September 25th, 2015, is NDC's free education, the free senior high school education, the panacea for Ghana's education woes, NPP. 11 September 2019, UNESCO allows John Mahama for introducing free senior high school. And this is on Peace FM. Oh, I am giving you date. I am saying write them and go and find out. You, is that not what I am telling you to do? Did I ask you to laugh? I said right. So now, as to the dates I've given you and the origin of the free senior high school concept, no one has doubted that a lot of lies, misrepresentations have been made as the origin of the free senior high school. And I've given you dates. Now, Sena, today I want to let my nephew understand that when you plan a policy, you plan either to succeed or you plan to fail. And most times, those who plan haphazardly fail. This country has seen several years of educational reforms, not so. And in one of the reforms, do you see Accra Girls Secondary School? Accra Girls, Tamale Senior High School, Tamale Secondary School, and Takrady Secondary School. Do you see they have the same building structures? Have you noticed? Asankagwa Secondary School and all those. This was the beginning of educational reforms in Ghana when Kwame Nkrumah decided that And the Kwame Nkrumah's Education Trust, they built all those schools in Ghana. So education is not something that has been just poured on us. We have been developing gradually towards education. I was at the Consultative Assembly when we decided that with availability of funds, at that time we had not discovered oil. And we said, when we have funds, we should move towards free senior high school and then at the tertiary level. At that time we didn't have the money. Then came in John Mahama and said, look, we have to move towards free education. But the boarding school system is quite expensive. And so many people are excluded. So let me build community day secondary schools. So now, have you gotten the rationale behind Mahama's educational revolution? If I build the day secondary schools, then many more students can enter the day schools. And my daughter has told you the number of things that were added, educational supplies. Free computers. You remember every child was given a computer. Every child was given a whatever, sandals. The ladies were given what they deserve. That is how you plan and execute policies sensibly. So that if you look at the rights of a child, education is one. But the child's health is also one. No so. The child's security is also one. No so. So if you put a child in school without sanitary conditions and facilities, you are creating a problem. Because education is not just the payment of fees. Come on, Eddie. Are you saying that without the free SHS, many people would not have gone to school? Is that not the reason why Kwame Nkrumah Sajifo brought the scholarship schemes? So that sensibly we can segregate people and say, look, these ones they cannot pay. Let them give them scholarship. Is that not what we are doing with LEAP? Sena, you know LEAP? The LEAP. We are targeting people. We in the NDC, like some sensible persons in the NPP, criticize the free senior high school, saying that, look, how can me, Oforiata, take my child to Achimota school, dump him there, and ask somebody else to go and pay for him, when I can pay for 10 people? That is what NDC was saying. What NDC was saying that if you don't have the facilities, you are going to create problem for the children. So, for example, a girl from Apiosika goes to SSL exam, isn't it? And then passes. And he's to go to Uraura. What options does the parent have? They don't have accommodation. So a 13-year-old girl has to go to Uraura, go and rent a room. Come on, would you allow your daughter 13 years to go to Uraura without any parental guidance? And that's no, you see, are you surprised that the girls we are producing have now become what? Mapuka dancers. Have you forgotten? Do you know how they have become Mapuka dancers? They have no parental control. No parental control. And so even if they are sick, nobody takes care of them.
So you cancel free SHS?
My friend, wait a minute. Don't tell me what you are.
Please let him.
You see, I've started by the foundation that Mahama was building the infrastructure to contain this. What is what I told you? We said we were going to do this progressively. You said you're going to do instantly, Jinahoji. No, so. Meanwhile, your Jinahoji has took you 3 years. First year, second year, third year. Is that not progressive? So if you are allowed a sensible option, saying that for the 3 years, we will complete all the U blocks and put these children in. By the third year that you are creating the Mapuka dancers, they would have been in good accommodation. That was what we were talking about. So don't misconstrue to say that Mahama says when you come and cancel the free education, free senior school.
So what you are saying is that we said independent now and you are saying independent soon. Free SHS now.
When Kwame Nkrumah said independent now, you know what he had done.
Free SHS soon.
See, when Kwame Nkrumah said independence now, he knows what he had done. He had prepared. He had built in the CPP as a political solid foundation, not Jinahoji. And come on a serious note, you remember as a result of the free SHS, we lost 9 children from Accra Kumasi Academy Secondary School. Any policy that is implemented, that will result in this tragedy is not it should be condemned. You put young girls, 13, 14, boys, 10, 20, to 18, in schools without toilet facilities. When they question, they said, go and use rubber bag. Go and use rubber bag.
Please, you don't have to wrap up for me. I have
I'm wrapping up.
I have 7 minutes.
Wait, I'm wrapping up.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk, they said NABCO. Wow, NABCO. When a graduate finish education, he wants to have permanent job, so that he can contribute to the society. Should I give you some figures? The banks that you have closed down, between them, they were contributing almost 5 million cedis every month to social security. They were contributing income tax to build the society. What is the NABCO bill? What are they contributing? For 3 years, you pay them 700 a month, isn't it? No social security, no income tax. So me, I've been in pension all my life. So the first 3 years of the young man's life, he hasn't got social security. And that will reduce his pension right. Okay. So apart from the fact that you are denying that program that you bought, you are denying the country revenue, you are also denying the young men themselves the right to earn social security. Okay. So if you put somebody, if you put NABCO boy at GRA, what is he learning? Okay. And when he is finished, you cannot employ him at GRA. What have you done?
Thank you.
My final question, my final point.
You gave away 5 minutes.
What Mahama has not done for the youth is to deny them meaningful employment. I come from Commander Eguafu. I come from Commander Eguafu. And all the youth in the central region, central region, there's no factory there apart from Amin. So we decided that we are going to build Commander Sugar Factory for the people of Commander. What Mahama has not done is to deny the people of Commander. Wait a minute, Ekunfi. You can't feel as you fruit juice. See, wait. Okay, let me finish. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
But after this discussion, to go on.
I think there's more. We have to make more time to talk about this issue because I'm squeezing Mr. Pratt now. Mr. Pratt.
No, because that's going to be the point.
I'm squeezing Mr. Pratt. No.
Well, the point is that in 4 minutes, you can't do much. Yeah. So, what I like to do is simply to say that when you have politicians who have risen to the level of vice president, they are not expected to do glib talking. Understand? To stand in front of microphones and say that a government that was in power for 8 years did absolutely nothing for the youth is irresponsible. Doesn't Belmia know about the e-blocks? Doesn't he know even about simple road construction? I mean, when roads are constructed, they are not constructed just for old people and so on. He could simply have said that they would do better than the previous government. But to say that the previous government did nothing is glib talking. And glib talking is not expected of politicians who rise to become even ministers and vice presidents and so on. So that's all I like to say on that matter. What he did is not acceptable.
Pregnant mischief.
This is so pregnant. Please.
It's pregnant with sense. It's not mischief, with sense.
No problem.
This is so pregnant with mischief.
They are afraid of the truth, these people.
No problem.
Anyway.
I'd like to talk briefly about the appointment of Kamala Harris as vice presidential candidate of the United States of America. This is epoch-making. It's epoch-making to the extent that this is the first time in the history of the United States of America that a woman, apartheid campaigner, in an era where it was not fashionable for politicians of the United States of America to identify with black international struggles and so on. Now it is clear that this ticket is aiming at mobilizing minorities like the Chicanos, like the Mexicanos, like the Indians, like the African Americans, and so on. I want to see a better international situation than we have today. I want to see the easing of tensions in the international arena. All the needless and useless trade wars between America and China on one hand, and America on Europe on the other hand, would affect the global economy in many ways, and it's unhealthy. I want to see an end to that senseless, deliberate stoking of tensions in the international arena. And I have a strong suspicion that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would contribute to easing those tensions. I'm not sure about some developments on the international scene. I cannot be sure about how the U.S. will position itself with regards to the Palestinian question, which is a key question affecting the stability of the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. I'm not so sure. I would have wished that some politicians would have emerged in the United States who would want to put an end to the colonial occupation of Palestine by Israel. And I'm not so sure about that. I also cannot be sure about U.S. attitude to Cuba should Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win the election. Of course, Joe Biden was vice president to Barack Obama, who took measures to ease the tensions between Cuba and the United States of America. But Joe Biden himself has stated quite publicly that he had policy differences with Barack Obama, and that even though they were civil to each other and so on, there were some areas that they disagreed. I want to hope that their area of disagreement was not about Cuba, because the blockade on Cuba affects many people across the world. Cuba, if for nothing, has many medical brigades across the world, in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America, and in Europe, and so on. And the blockade against Cuba is affecting Cuba's humanitarian interventions across the world. Quite apart from the fact that the people of Cuba are suffering enormously as a result of this aggression against them by U.S. imperialism and so on. Whatever it is, the United States of America cannot have a worse president than Donald Trump. Anything but Donald Trump, it's okay. If you want to look at the ramifications of that in Ghana, don't forget the leaders of the New Patriotic Party used to boast about the fact that they share the same symbol with the Republican Party. And they used to point to the fact that if the Republican Party does well, it means that they would also do well. This is needless and useless superstition that I do not ascribe to, but it's just important to note.
Thank you, fantastic. 5 minutes to just deal with two topics. That's good. So that should bring to a close the show for today. But before I go, this one is from Kokumauli Nanegbo, says, Sena, for the records, NYEP introduced by John Ajekum Kufuor had no policy guide or law, just a school feeding, and it took the NDC to provide, as we would do for NAPCO again. But more importantly, what sense does it make to collapse permanent jobs and create temporary ones? As we speak today, between 2017 and now, 1.2 million Ghanaians lost jobs. The banking sector crisis alone created 25,000 job losses. That's President Akufo-Addo's record. Kokuma Olinanegbe sent that one. And this one was sent earlier by Komala Ganya in Abuja, who says the Northerners and MPP who took it upon themselves to bash their brother President Mahama to please their masters are traitors. What they are doing would come back to hand them. Thank you for those messages. I have a couple more because I have my good friend Albert Wotogbi, who shares with me details of budget statements. He says the facts as they are don't support what Baumia is ranting about. If for nothing at all, take the so-called one village, one dam policy, for instance. He gave me details of some speeches from the past that I can't read because of time. But a big thank you to you for making time to watch the show today. A big thank you to our partners, as always. Ahunto 92.3 FM Radio Gold. Also, to our several affiliates across the country. We're live on Vota One TV in the Volta region. We're live on Gbewa Radio in Yendi. We're live on Matambo Radio. We're live on Diamond FM, among several other ways. We understand we are live on some radio station in Ketakrati, which we do not know about. We're live on Global FM. We're also on Facebook. A big thank you to those of you who watch us through that platform. You shared your message with that. I hope I read as much as I can. A big thank you to all of you as always. My name is Sena Nombo. Before I go, I'd like to say a happy belated birthday to Nana Dakwa JC and Wano of Max TV. They used to be a radio goat. They used to run our sports team. Now they are with Max TV. Happy belated birthday to Thomas Osu and Kwafles in Belgium. And also to say, once again, our condolences to Nana Ohininana Obonti Crow, the family of Ohininana Obonti Crow. They are marking his 1 week anniversary today. So our condolences continue to go out to him.
And also just to say, the real Founders Day
it's
will
coming
be
up.
celebrated on September 21st,
Okay.
2020, by many organizations, and it threatens to be a real big event.
That's right.
Well, we are looking forward to that. We are looking forward to that.
It reminds me of the real state of the nation.
Well, you heard Mr. Kamal. Let me start from him. He's closest to me. He's the MPP's communications, Deputy Director MPP's communications of the MPP's communications team. And then you had Gabriela Tete, who is a member of the NDC's communication team. We're happy to have Ambassador Sam Piale, who is a former Ghana High Commissioner to India. And of course, Mr. Kwesi Prajina always give us a lot to think about. We're back same time next week. A big thank you to the crew here at Pan-African Television for the massive support, to my producer Tijani and to Edem and the rest of the guys. Massive work as always. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy the week, and let's make a date.
He's the Redeemer and the champion of liberty, of human equality. Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sajifo Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana showboy.
Hello, what are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day? You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesday,